Alrighty, Earthlings! Welcome back to the Thundering Dice channel with Sven and Ian, the Thundering Dice Brothers, and it is another episode of Lore vs. Story, Brings the Power, Season 2, Episode 6. For those of you who haven't seen it recently, let me give you a quick rundown of what actually happens. Arondir randomly kills some orcs. And that's it. We never see him again or hear from him again in this episode. It appears that Celebrimbor is going mad or is being driven mad. We've got some war action brewing at the gates of Eregion that Celebrimbor is apparently completely oblivious to. And so are his soldiers. There's like plumes of smoke and everything. And none of them seem to really care that much until the very end, when then everyone just runs around screaming in a panic for no reason. Because where are you going to go screaming? That's really, really super useful. Well done, elves. Speaking of well done, elves, they're all really, really easily manipulatable. And let's think about Galadriel here, totally just giving away the plot, telling where this ring of power is to a potential enemy slash frenemy slash obviously orky kind of person in Adar. Why would you tell him that? Obviously a trap. Why would you trust him? Obviously a trap. They just look so shady. They are shady. Galadriel, you're dumb for being 2,000 or whatever years old. You disappoint me.
Tens of thousands
of years old. You disappoint me, Galadriel. Of course, since we haven't seen them in a while, we have to see a little bit of Gandalf and some Harfoots and Stores action, which is actually inconsequential to the story once again. Gandalf doesn't get a staff. Tom Bombadil is another wasted character, and we get some more callbacks to the story from The Lord of the Rings, some quotes that don't fit right, but they're like shoehorned in, so we don't forget that this is technically The Lord of the Rings adjacent.
And then they're flipped around too.
Yep.
Not even the proper reiteration of it.
And we've got, let's see, speaking of Dorian, Nori, and all them, they're doing nothing. Oh, wait, sorry. Wrong. Oris and Noris. Everyone's names sound the same. I don't mean the dwarves. I mean Nori and Poppy, gosh, doing nothing and just vacillating and having some, like, romantic drama with the Stores, which is pointless. Let's see, what else am I missing? Oh, yeah, of course. We've got the Trial by Sea and the Worm and stuff like that, which...
Yeah.
Yep, none of us knew how that was going to go out. No, we totally expected Elendil to die and Farazan to triumph. Wait, never mind. That's not ever going to happen, because we know what happens to Elendil, not that. And of course, we get the inevitable but eventual betrayal by Adar, which didn't take that long, I guess, just one episode. And then Galadriel's right back where she started, chained up and a prisoner, and once again pouting. Yeah, that was what happened, and it sounded like a lot happened, but not really a lot happened, because let's think about it. Queen Muriel might be Queen Muriel again, except that there's no way Farazan can let her get away with any of this. So they're going to have to be killed by Farazan, or Farazan's going to have to be killed. Celebrimbor going mad and, forgetting names and stuff like that seems weird to me. I didn't think that the whole making of the rings seems very rushed and shoehorned in. Like the writers forgot that the story was about the Rings of Power, and so then they wanted to make sure that they never forgot again. So they had a sticky note in the writer's room that said, "This is the Rings of Power. Let's talk about that. Let's make some rings." Annatar looks so fucking shady all the time.
Yep.
He's got the overused, self-satisfied, evil smile to himself. His fake concern when he's talking to people, that slight furrow of the brow, the raised eyebrows, the gentle tone of voice. It's like you're talking to an insane person in an asylum sort of tone of voice. Super not trustworthy. Yeah. Why does anybody take him at face value by anything that he says? He just looks so fucking shady.
No, yeah, absolutely. And then he's completely different too. I mean, Halbrand as a character in season 1 works way better than Annatar, because Halbrand actually seems like a person. Like he actually wants to do things, even though you don't really quite understand. What does he want to stay in Numenor? Does he want to go back to become king of the Southlands? You kind of love guessing, but you're never not under any illusions that there is a person and there is motivation behind it. Annatar in season 2 is just this weird character that doesn't exist. It gets way too annoyed quickly when people don't instantly decide to agree with him. He has no honey tongue. He's just all reactionary. He kind of looks like a bitch. And always, as you said, that self-satisfying, smug, evil grin is overused to it's there's 4 different times where it happens in this one episode alone, and I'm sorry, you can only evil grin so often until the watchers are like, shut up.
Yeah, it's because the show lacks subtlety.
Yes.
Every hint and foreshadowing and moment of lore has to be a club that they beat you over the head with, instead of a lot of little breadcrumbs and subtle things that you might not catch unless you're paying attention. No, they want to make sure that every single throwback, throw forward, however you want to think about it, is like a boulder hitting you. Like, you don't miss the mithril being weapons, because you know how Frodo gets stabbed while wearing a mithril coat. Let's make sure we hear about that again. Even though mithril is being misused again in this show, like it should actually be used as armor, weaponry, and jewelry and stuff more than it should be for these rings of power, right? There's nothing to do with one or the other.
Well, no, the rings of power are made out of mithril too.
But they don't give them their power. Like they built it up to this special, like without the mithril, the elves would have died because the rings have to come from that mithril. Like that's all built for this.
Yeah, the mithril is just like, it's, you know, it's what houses the rings of power, but like the rings, the power is innate into what they are and the craft that is making them. It isn't the special metal that, you know, gives them a cool hippy dippy, you know, use to them. It's
so what it is they're trying to rationalize the magic, trying to make like logify the magic.
Yeah, and which is a really huge problem, because like in the same way, like if this was the Silmarillion, you wouldn't want to show Feanor creating the Silmarils, because there's no way to show it.
It's not creation. It's not like a forge and like a hammer and a chisel and polishing stones or whatever.
No,
like,
it's something like completely different. Like part of Feanor passes into the Silmarils, which is one of the reasons why he like alone can break them and unlock them. The Valar could do it too, but not without hurting him physically. He has to do it. So when Celebrimbor is making these rings, he is using a craft other than what we would consider hammer and chisel to make something look pretty.
He's not just a silversmith.
No, he is something way more. He is channeling, you know, like the lore of gods to be able to create something that in it of itself has actual power. It's not a pretty ring. It's not a pretty stone. It is an actual thing of power that enhances the user and does whatever else, depending on which race you're talking about and which ring.
Well, let's talk about that. So since this is, you know, story versus lore kind of stuff, what they did well, what they didn't do well, here's where they could have married those two things into an epic thing. If you're going to make the story have the rings being forged, maybe actually show something cool about it. Have some fucking epic, like Frankenstein's a monster calling upon the elements of nature to imbibe your ring with magic. Like, come on, make it epic in some way. Don't just have it be like an old bitchy, whiny dude in a tower alone, going slightly mad, and apparently crafting rings. We never see him craft a ring. We never see him call upon anything. We never see anything epic or cool or magical, really. We just see, you know, Blondie manipulating him kind of seeming like he's getting dementia a little bit, drawing pictures and screaming at people and forgetting their names. And yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing. It's like an old man going mad and like a manipulative lawyer coming to steal his wealth before he dies, like making sure his will gets signed over to him. Yeah, that's pretty much how they portray Celebrimbor. It definitely doesn't work to any respect of the character or even in the story, because it's all just so it's so fast and shoehorned that like you go from him in this episode bitching at the elven smiths to dismissing them all and saying, I will create them all myself. And then getting locked in his tower and scribbling away with a pencil.
Yeah.
Apparently. Because he has nothing to forge with, because mithril is important and he has none.
Yeah, until Sauron just brings it to him. Willy-nilly.
Again, I thought he got turned down, so did he go on a heist? And also, how did he get there and back so quickly? I mean, I don't know how much time elapsed, but not that much. I mean, the orcs have been in place, and not for that long, because otherwise they start eating their way out of the forest. They need supplies, which, let's not even think about the logistics of this giant, ostensibly large orc army, because I don't think it looks that big on screen. They do a pretty bad job making it look big. Like, look at this orc army, and then like 5 bonfires turn on.
Yeah, you have absolutely no idea of the disposition of the enemy force. I mean, it could be 100 people, it could be 1,000 people, it could be, 100,000 spread up within the forest. But since there's a forest there and all you do get is those 5 bonfires, you have no idea how many orcs are attacking Eregion. And that's kind of an important detail as a visual aid, because if you don't know how many people are attacking the fortification in a TV show, you'll really have no sense of, is this a reasonable thing I'm watching? Do they have a chance of surviving? Do they have a chance of successfully besieging Eregion? I have no idea, because I don't know how many there are. I mean, I know the logistics of, I know Eregion is backed up against a mountain surrounded by a really big-ass river. I mean, it looks hundreds of feet wide. It is not something that you are going to be able to cross on any respect successfully and put a large amount of people on the ground in front of the river on the actual wall to start besieging it.
And also, I don't know if anyone really paid attention to the size of the stones that were being thrown from the catapult in relation to the size of the river, the size of the city, and the distance they had to have traveled. So we know that the river is super wide, hundreds and hundreds of feet wide. And now I'm not about to do the math right now while we're recording this, but you know, the size of that ball that's going across.
Actually,
it's
balls.
Huge. It's balls.
Remember, yeah, like there's a ball of small rocks that they lit on fire.
And then somehow stay together as they fly. They wouldn't like scatter apart because magic or something.
Density and all that and size doesn't matter when we're traveling through the air.
Huge, like 10, 20 foot wide, flaming collections of rocks that stay together better than any shotgun choke could make the pattern.
Yeah.
Flying hundreds of feet in the air, hundreds of feet across a river, and staying together in such a way that they can hit a built structure and have it destroyed instantly. Everything breaks so easily, and this is a fault with Lord of the Rings as well, and pretty much all fantasy on TV. Catapults and trebuchets just fucking wreck shit. They just destroy walls and fortifications, when in reality, even using cannons to destroy walls took days, if not weeks, to break through these fortifications. What hope do you think a catapult's gonna have that a cannon can't do? Like, shit, boys and girls, it doesn't pass the eye test at the very least.
None of these people have ever looked back into a history textbook and looked at siege warfare and decided, and we're just like, well, how does this shit? What do miners do? What do siege engines do? What is the problem with actually attacking walls? Is it like all these like small little things that aren't really like Google exists, y'all?
And what is the strategy behind throwing rocks against the city from across the river? Ultimately, what point are you going to make there? Are you going to enhance the capabilities of your army in any way by chucking flaming rocks into the city across the river? Like, how is that going to get you into the city? It might demoralize the enemy. It might set some shit on fire. Assuming that you even get it over there, that it doesn't go out, doesn't fail, doesn't just distribute out. And
one thing we'll say about Eregion, it's all made of stone. Like, you barely see, like, you see the flags, and those are made out of cloth, but everything else is made out of stone.
Like, I'm sure there's some timber a little bit, but...
Yeah, maybe on the inside, but, like, this city seems pretty well adapted to not go up in flames.
Like, how, and where are you getting all the materials for all this stuff? Like,
yes.
Okay, your catapults, right? Fine. You may have built them from wood that you harvested. Okay, all the fastenings, you had to have manufactured those. And maybe I'm thinking too much and maybe this is way too esoteric for the scope of a criticism of a fantasy show, but a little bit of logistics goes a long way. Like, you need to make it make sense that they are able to supply, able to make these things. A catapult like that, do they have a quarry nearby for the stones? How are they getting the stones through there? It doesn't look like they've clear cut a lot of the forest. Did they build roads? Where are the humans in this that they had before, like the slave humans that they had? What happened to them and what are they doing? Where are they getting food for all these people, all these orcs that may be in the tens of thousands? There's so many questions that just bug me. Even though I know it's a TV show and you're like, you're overthinking it, bro. It's just too much suspension of disbelief. I'm suspending my disbelief for the fact that I'm watching fantasy. I understand that. But there are certain like just rules that make sense in the world. Like, you're not setting this in an alternate dimension where the rules of reality are twisted. If that's the case, cool. But establish
show me that.
Show me
so
that.
I already know
as far as I know, Middle Earth is this Earth. It's just a different lore for, you know, the British Isles, essentially.
Yeah, you're talking about this Earth way back in the annals of history. Everything that we all know still exists in this respect. Yeah. I mean, and then also, like, the other thing, that, like, where did they get the metal workers to line the wheels on the catapults with the metal lining? You know, like you have to have a forge. That was a pretty big ass piece of iron. You showed enough of it to know that it was one solid bar for at least half that wheel. So you're definitely getting what, like 10, 15, 20 feet of metal in one sheet. You have massive forges. I mean, like, yeah, like the logistics matter. And it's not like you need to show all the logistics, but you pepper it in to give me realism.
Like, even in Lord of the Rings, there's a shot where you're diving down into the works underneath Isengard.
Yes.
And whether it looks realistic or not doesn't really matter that much. It's a really cool dramatic shot following a raven or a bird down there through a bunch of gears and wheels and forges and workers, and they're cutting down trees.
And they're stockpiling weapons and building armor.
And they're birthing new Uruk-hai out of some weird thing down there.
Yeah,
Who
because
knows?
they don't want to show,
bunch of fucking, I understand. No one wants to see a bunch of orc porn.
No, oh god.
Moving along from orc porn, I did have some questions that I wanted to clarify here. So Adar talks about how he wants to kill Sauron, right?
Yes.
How he did it once by using Morgoth's crown. Like Morgoth's crown has some kind of specific power, so he says that if he uses Morgoth's crown along with the power of the 3 elven rings that he is going to somehow get, or maybe just Galadriel's one, however, what his plan is, he wants to kill Sauron that way. Now, I know that there are some rules that govern how to kill, if it's impossible to kill Sauron and stuff like that. Even at the end of the Lord of the Rings, he's not dead, as in like his soul has. It's not like when you and I die and we're dead and buried, we're not wraith-like floating around and like able to come back and fuck with you.
Yeah,
we're gone. So, but Sauron is bound by those kind of rules. He's a lot more magical and special than we are. So is there anything in there that could possibly... Okay.
No. All of it is wrong. I mean, like just to start out, Morgoth's crown doesn't exist in the Second Age. It was taken from Morgoth's head, beaten as a collar around his neck before he was shoved through the doors of night by the Valar. So Morgoth's crown is already out of the picture. Sauron never resized it. The fact that it's there, really stupid.
But
it would
just
also have...
Just the image, though, of Sauron, like, cutting a piece of metal out and, like, forging it back together again so it fits. It's like cosplaying your dad's suit that's too big for you or something.
No, it's so weird. Like you would never... So, that's definitely not there. Him resizing it for himself also makes no sense because Sauron wants to do things differently. He's not trying to... Like, he doesn't need a symbol of power from his previous boss to order the orcs around. He is a being of power. He is a fucking god, little g, in comparison to the big G, Valar, and then the big G-O, capital D, like all capitals of Iluvatar. So, like, he's a being of power that does not require a symbol of office to tell the orcs, oh wait, maybe we should fear him and follow him. No. He exerts his will over their minds. They do what he tells them to do. So there's no reason to have that. Even if Morgoth's crown survived, it doesn't have physical power in it of itself either. It's a piece of iron.
It's a symbol.
That had 3 Cimmerals set into it. The 3 Cimmerals had power, but the crown itself had no power. So it makes no sense that was able to kill
What happened with the 3 Cimmerals that were removed from Morgoth's crown?
One of them is lost into the sea. Another one is cast into the cracks of, into cracks of fire. And the third one is aloft in the air with Yarendil, Elrond's father.
Yeah.
So, like, all those things are all accounted for. And then, Sauron dying. Like, he cannot die in the same way that, any of the Valar or Maya or elves in this respect cannot actually die. Their bodies are, and their, not the Valar and the Maya in this respect, but, like, their bodies and souls are ethereal or of the earth. So when Sauron dies, quote unquote, at the end of the last battle, Jesus Christ, the Last Alliance, my god, sorry guys, the Last Alliance, when Elendil and Gil-galad wrestle with him, and basically that's how he gets overthrown. His spirit is not dead, and it takes a long time for him to be able to conjure enough energy to rebuild his body and thus become a menace again, but he does not die. And in the same respect that when the One Ring is destroyed, a lot of his power and his innate power is now forever lost, and he can never get it, and he will be forever diminished. But he himself is not dead. In the same way that when Saruman dies and his spirit rises from his physical body and looks to the west at the end of Lord of the Rings, and a gust of wind blows his spirit out east, he himself is still not dead. He is banished from Valinor, never to return, never to be able to get his human, get another body into the Dagor-Dagoroth, comes again, and Morgoth breaks free from the Doors of Night, bringing back all the evil for the final battle to happen. But until all that stuff, they are just spirits unhoused that have no ability to actually hurt the world anymore. So all this other type of thing saying like, oh yeah, we can finally kill him. No. I mean, you might have that desire to, and you might be able to, I mean, like, the writers could have toyed with the idea of destroying him, but with the ultimate knowledge that, like, it wouldn't have happened. So, no part of anything with Morgoth's crown and Sauron dying, and then, like, him needing to take, at the very beginning, him need to take, like the rat and shit like that, and consume the human to be able to rebuild his physical form. Not how it happened. It was all like spiritual energy that you bend around yourself to finally bring yourself a new image.
So, and that also plays into the whole point that this plan of Addar's is doomed to fail from the outset because he's leading it with orcs, and Sauron will be able to control the orcs or bend them to his will at some point innately because that's one of his things.
Yeah,
the orcs just listen to Sauron.
They would naturally start following him just because of his evil nature, like exactly who he is, the power he has, and the fact that orcs are evil and corrupted. And whilst they don't necessarily like Sauron or they don't like Morgoth, they still serve him out of fear and loathing, even though they fear and loathe themselves, even more.
And that plays into Galadriel is stupid. Once again, in this show anyway, because in the beginning she's on board with the enemy of my enemy is my friend, we'll tackle it together, and in the end she figures out after his, sudden and inevitable betrayal that in fact this was actually Sauron's plan the whole time and it's doomed to fail. In between, like before that, she wasn't smart enough to figure it out. It took another betrayal, by the way, guys. How many does she have to have before she starts to wisen up a little bit? Tens of thousands of years and a dozen betrayals that I can count in the course of a season and a half of show. God bless it.
Yeah.
She's not trainable apparently.
No, yeah, and she would never even try to have. Addar's whole character is stupid. The fact that he is still like an elf and immortal,
like he's like a half orc or something.
Yeah. Like it's just not how it happens. You become mortal when you're twisted out of an elf form into an orc form. You do not maintain your immortality. So there would be no bargaining here. And she knows, like, you can't trust an orc. I mean, she has history with them. All elves have history with them.
She spent how many decades fighting Sauron and his orcs? Right before the events of this show, really?
I mean,
like in this show, actually,
in this show,
they show her doing all that stuff.
Yeah, she spends the entire beginning of the Second Age or middle of the depending
whatever
on
time frame this is supposed to be.
Yeah, whatever time frame. She spends it all hunting Sauron because she's convinced Sauron killed her brother, which is half true. I mean, sort of, but not really.
Now, once again,
and that's completely lost on the thing. They never mention again Finrod's death. She never's just like, yeah, this is why I'm doing it. Like, this is all.
Yeah, the motivations really
thrown out the window.
Get wishy-washy. Yeah, that's the problem here because this show is meant to sort of. The stakes are really, really not apparent. We know that Sauron is a threat to all of Middle-earth and all the free peoples of Middle-earth. We know he's a bad guy. We know that he has the power to fundamentally, like, alter Middle-earth and turn it dark and evil, and it's an existential threat. He is an existential threat, but you don't get
that feeling.
Like, they're just really kind of bad at making it feel epic, aren't they?
Yes.
It's The Lord of the Rings never had a problem feeling epic. Even if it was 9 people walking across a landscape, it was epic. If it was 3 dudes running across a landscape into a sunrise, it was epic. It was just always impactful. It was always moving, and it's just not doing it for me in Rings of Power. It just doesn't feel right. And the thing is, you have so much more time to make it feel epic. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe there's too much time. They have too much, air to fill, and so they just don't know what to do, and it's just sort of meandering through a story. I mean, I'd love to look at what their storyboards looked like beforehand. I mean, someone must have storyboarded all this out. Someone must have created a story for this and, try to stitch some various disparate pieces of Tolkien Legendarium together into some semblance of a 5-episode season arc. Like, what they should have gotten? They should have gotten J. Michael Straczynski in here to at least help them with the 5-season arc, and write some pitfalls out. So when people decide to fuck off or die,
But this is the funny thing, because you can clearly tell that they don't have a 5-season story arc because they're doing it seasonally. Even though they're already committed to 5 seasons, they have the episode numbers. They know how many they're doing. They know how many hours they're doing. It would be really easy to map on the story to 5 seasons. But since they decided to do everything all at once, it's just glaringly obvious. They're like, well, fuck it. We'll just go season by season like all other television shows because, you know, like that's the only thing we know. And we don't know how to create a multi-seasonal story arc that overarches everything, because it would be really easy to have like point A to point B, point B to point C. But from point A to point C has an actual overarching story that goes along with it, that goes multi-seasonal. Instead, it's just like, no, we have to have a beginning, middle, and end, quasi-beginning, middle, and end for each season, and it's just leading into the next season without actually bringing a narrative that follows a greater story to deliver onto the audience.
And I think, you know, that's obviously just a writing problem, but one of the things that contributes to that feeling is that instead of having people have normal conversations with each other, like I understand, I don't want to see the mundane, boring, what are we having for dinner? Oh, the weather is shitty. Oh, I hope it rains tonight. That's not the conversation that we want. Duh.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you also can't have all your conversation be made of epic sound bites.
No.
Like so many conversations that happen seem to be like, the writer spent so much time crafting the perfect sentence that might sound good if it were said like, and then Elendil, in the throes of despair, said to his son, go forward. You know, like that kind of storytelling, that narrative storytelling, you can have it sound epic. But it sounds really, really stilted, and it gets old when it's just, that's how everybody talks to each other all the time. Instead of having conversations, it's just epic soundbite followed by epic soundbite, or what they want to sound like epic. Like it's very, very, you get like burnout from hearing just sound bites instead of hearing stories.
Yeah. There's no the conversation is just not there, and the epic sound bites. As I said last episode, this works as a docudrama, but not as an actual piece of storytelling that you're supposed to invest any type of emotion into, because it's just not there. I mean, like, this would work a lot better, too, if the characters had any type of depth beyond, I am this person and I say this.
I have a destiny.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us again on Lore vs. Story. And we will be back next time with episode 7. Stay sane and healthy and happy and all that good shit. And we'll catch you next time.
And if you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, and subscribe down below. Check out our Reddit, check out our Patreon, and we will see you when Sauron does something stupid again.